Hi, I'm Nicole, writer, producer, and editor here at Critical Crop Top, and this is Tutorial Tuesday. On today's episode, we are going to learn how to sync audio and video using Premiere Pro. A lot of times when you're working on a narrative project like a web series or a short film, you're going to have all your picture recorded on the camera. So you've got all your video files, and then you're going to have all your audio files, like your dialogue track is going to be recorded using a separate device, like an H6 Zoom, for example. That's a really popular one in the indie space, or like a Tascam. Anyway, you're gonna have some kind of separate audio recording device. And the reason that we do this is because the in-camera microphone on most cameras is not good. So you're not gonna get good quality audio. Even if you can plug up a quality microphone to your DSLR, which some of you may, like you might have like a boom microphone plugged in, or like a Rode mic or something plugged into your DSLR. So if you have that, then you don't need this tutorial, but you might need it in the future. But most times we're gonna record the video on one device, and we're gonna record the audio on another device so that we can get the best quality audio that we can, because we're gonna get better quality of audio when we're recording into these higher quality audio recording devices. So because of that, once we get into the post-production phase, we're gonna have to take the video and the audio and sync it together. And by sync it, that means we're gonna line up the audio and the video so that when people are talking, it looks like they're talking synchronized and not like you're watching a bad Kung Fu movie. There's a lot of different tools in Premiere to synchronize your audio. It just kind of depends on what scenario you find yourself in. So if you have like audio, what we call like a scratch audio track, so I've got audio that's on my camera files and I'm not going to be using that audio, but Premiere could use the audio from those camera files and compare it to the audio that recorded on my separate device, and it can kind of decide how to line those up. So we're going to look at that way first. But what if you find yourself in a scenario where you don't have audio on the video files? Then you're going to have to do something that we call manual sync or hand sync. There's a lot of nicknames for it. That's when I'm going to actually look at my video files and look for the point where I have the clapper, the slate, and I'm going to put a marker on there to tell Premiere like that is where the sync point is in the video. And then I'm going to go to my audio clip and I'm going to listen for where that slate is, and I'm going to put a marker there and mark that as the sync point for the audio. And then I'm going to merge those two things together. So I'm going to show you both those ways in this tutorial. So let's get to it. Okay, so we are in our Premiere project and we're ready to start syncing our audio and video clips so that we can begin editing. So I'm going to go over the process of how I do it. There's actually a couple of different ways to do it, but this is the way that I find to be the fastest and most efficient. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go over to my sequence, and I am going to create a new sequence. So also, I just wanted to mention that if I want to, another way I can create a sequence is go up here to this top menu and go to New Sequence. Okay, so that is yet another way that I can create a sequence. And I already know the settings, those are all right. So I'm going to actually just call this, we'll call it, because this is Vera's Workplace Sensitivity Training, so Vera. And let's see, we'll just call that for sync. Okay, so now I've got my sequence here. Now, Premiere Pro has some really nice tools for syncing your footage. If you have video clips that have in-camera audio, you can actually use those and match them up with the audio clip that you need to sync, and Premiere will kind of analyze the two and decide where the sync point is. You can do that in your bin, but you have to know which video clip goes with which audio clip, and I feel like that can start to get a little messy. Now, of course, I could go through and label all these, assuming that all my slates are correct and that somebody read the slate aloud. That shouldn't be too difficult, but I'm going to show you a way that is a little bit faster. So I'm actually going to drag everything into my, my sequence here and sync it in the sequence. So let's go ahead and, so the first step to this would be to sort everything so that it's in order. It's very important that everything is going to be in order. It's going to make it a lot easier to figure out which one goes with which. So I'm actually going to open up my video footage bin here in a separate tab. And then I'm going to go see this one that says name. I'm actually going to click on that, and that is going to, you'll see if I click and the arrow's pointing up, it is going to, sorry, that's my dog. If the arrow's pointing up, it's going to start with the smallest clip and go on down. And if the arrow is pointing down, it is going to pick the last clip and sort it from last to first. So I want to sort it from first to last, so I want this arrow pointing up. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab, I'm going to select one clip, go to the last one, hold down Shift, select all of those, and then I'm just going to drag them using my mouse into my sequence. All right. So now I've got all the video clips for this camera roll in my sequence, and you could just keep dragging camera rolls in there. It kind of depends on how many you want to sync at once. And if I play through those, you will notice that the audio is not great. So let's see here.
Speeding. Sound speeds. 3B, take 2.
Okay, so this is why we don't use in-camera sound when we're doing narrative projects especially. The onboard microphone sucks. You can hear a lot of camera noise, and it's just not close enough to the actors' mouths. Now, if I have a external microphone like a Rode mic, or I like to use Audio-Technica mics, if I have that plugged into my camera, so I'm not using the in-camera microphone, that's better, but especially for something like a narrative project like this, which is a web series, we want to get the microphone as close as the actors as possible. And in order to do that, we often have to use a separate recording device like the Zoom H6. All right, so let's go over here and go back to our audio. So if I go to my production audio and load that up in a separate bin. Now, of course, because of the way the Zoom is, it's going to put everything in separate folders. So I'm going to have to go in and open all of these up and kind of drag them over. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to speed it up for you so you don't have to waste your time watching me do it. Okay, so I've got all my audio and video in my timeline, and they are all in order. And so if I play through, you'll see that everything's discombobulated and out of sync.
Rolling. Sound speed.
Okay, so I've got my video on video track 1. I've got the in-camera sound, which is linked to my video clips. That is on audio track 1. So if I solo that, meaning I only hear that, you can kind of hear how clunky the in-camera sound is. So let's go down here. Okay.
I like your support.
Right? Whereas if I play, and of course this isn't going to be in sync yet, if I play the sound that was recorded on the Zoom, you can hear that it's quite a bit better.
And actually, still,
oh yeah, so we'll
So let's do this.
support. Male colleagues are surpassing with salaries. The cup is more than full enough to go around.
Right? So we can hear the actor's voice really clearly, and we don't have all that camera noise, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and sync our clips. So I know the first set here is actually a mistake, so I think we're just going to skip that one.
3B, take 1.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and skip that. So I'm actually just going to click and drag, and you'll see that it creates a little sort of lasso, and then I'm just going to delete those. Okay, so along the toolbar, which we haven't really covered yet, you'll see that right now I'm using the selection tool, which is an arrow, right? So as I click on that, it'll select one clip. I'm actually, just to give myself a little room during the syncing process, I'm actually going to grab all of the clips that I'm not working with and just kind of push them over to the right. So right under my selection tool is the select forward, or if I click and hold, you'll see I've got select forward or select backward. So select forward, of course, will select everything that I click on and then to the right. And if I go over here, click and hold to select backward, you'll see that it will do the opposite. Okay, so let's do the select forward. And then I'm just going to click on those and I'm just going to scoot them as a group to the right so I give myself a little bit of room to work. Okay, so let's start with the easiest way to do this, and that is to sync by waveform, right? So I've got in-camera sound and I have what we would call second system sound, right? So sound from the H6 zoom. And if I click on both of those, telling Premiere these two things go together, and then I right click with my mouse and choose synchronize, I'm going to get a window here and it's going to ask me, how would you like me to synchronize that? I'd like you to analyze the audio. So I'm clicking on audio, analyze the audio from track 1, and then hit OK. And it's going to analyze those two things and synchronize them for me. So I'm going to actually mute. I'm going to mute the sound from the camera, and let's see how it went.
Sounds good. 3B, take 2.
Great. Everything seems to be nice and synced up.
Less seniority and fewer responsibilities.
Right? Okay, so that looks awesome. Now, you might be asking yourself, why am I giving myself such a gap here? And that's because when I start synchronizing these clips as they move around, they're going to start overlapping with the clips next to them, and I really don't want that, so I'm going to give myself a lot of room to work. Now, I'm going to click and drag, creating my lasso, and grab these clips, drag them over, okay, and then right-click, synchronize. And there we go. Okay, so let's check this one out.
3B, take 3.
Great. All right, so that's what you would do. That would be, I would say, the easiest way to synchronize in Premiere using the tools that are given to you by Premiere. But if you don't have in-camera sound, so let's see. Those I already synced, so we'll skip those guys. So you can see I've already put some markers in there. There we go. Let's grab this one. So let's say I don't have the in-camera sound, so I'm actually just going to lock this down and delete the audio. Okay, so now I don't have the ability to use the in-camera audio to synchronize with my H6 zoom audio. So all I have is a video clip like this, right? It's silent. Okay. So in this situation, what I need to do is use a marker to tell Premiere, hey, this is where the sync point is. So I'm going to start with the video, and the place that I can determine where my sync point is using the slate. Now, if you don't have a slate, things are going to be a little trickier. You might have to find some other place where there's a really clear delineation of where the audio is, like if somebody slams their hands on the table, or if you have a door slam or something. You need some very loud noise. But hopefully you've slated all your shots. Okay, so let's just go to where the clapper meets. And I'm just using the right arrow to sort of scrub through that. Boop. All right, so here's where we want. Right where we call these the chevrons because they make a sort of a chevron shape. So right where they touch. This is too early. This is too late. This is just right. So I'm going to click on my clip and I'm going to go up here to markers, add marker. Okay, and you can see that it's created a little mark there. All right, now I'm going to go down to my audio clip and let's actually just stretch this out a little bit so we can see a little bit more. I can also see this little scroll bar at the bottom. I can pull this in and out to zoom in, or I can use key commands to zoom in and out. That might help us see a little bit better. And let's, this is likely to be where the clapper is, because that is, if I'm looking at the waveforms, that is the highest point of the audio. So let's see here. Great, okay. So there we go. That's where our slate should be. So I'm using my left and right arrows, my left and right arrow keys to move through. Okay, and I am just going to go ahead and add a marker there. Okay. So now I am going to click and drag my lasso around these clips to select both of them. And right click, and I'm going to go to synchronize. Instead, this time of choosing audio, since I don't have any, I'm actually going to choose clip marker. Okay, so let's see how that worked.
Sound speeds.
Quite on set.
Right. 3E, take 1.
Great. Looking good.
Sure. Mr. Weathers.
Great. All right, and that's how it's done. And that's it. So easy, right? That's it for today's Tutorial Tuesday. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. And please check out the other stuff that we've got here. We've got a lot of short films, we've got web series, sketches, podcasts, all kinds of fun stuff. If you've got a question about this video, or if you have a topic that you would like me to cover in a future tutorial, just leave me a comment down below. Otherwise, I will see you on the next Tutorial Tuesday.